Okay, here's going to be a demonstration of how we're going to locate a fixture. This part that we're going to have has a center hole, so we're going to use it. We're going to circular interp or use a circle find gauge. First thing we're going to do is at the command prompt where it says enter next command, we're going to go back into utilities just like we did for tool settings. So UT for utilities, enter. We did the tool setting cycle. Now we're going to do number 2, which is a fixture setting cycle. 2, enter. Enter the fixture number. You can do multiple fixtures. We're going to start with number 1 and call it number 1. So we're going to go 1, enter. It's going to ask us for a locator diameter. That is for an edge finder, which is typically exactly 0.2 in diameter because it needs to know which side. We'll demonstrate that next. But for right now, we're going to take a circle finder, circle gauge. So we're going to enter 0, not O, but 0, enter, because that's going to run the center of the spindle to the center of our part. So now that we've selected number or locator, we're going to go jog to locate. So we're going to hit number 2. It's going to ask us to jog. Okay? Same thing as the tools. What we're going to do, let me bring this around here. We're going to jog, so we're going to go down on our Z, get it close, over on our X, get it close, go on the Y, and what I like to do is bring it down on the Z, run this out a little, and just kind of eyeball to start with. How close am I? Hopefully you can see this in the video. It's way over on the X. So we're going to center that a little better. Center that, look at the front, look at the back. Got to come a little bit on the Y. That's just to get it close so you're not fighting the gauge. Okay, swing this to you. Take it on the Z. Pull it to you. Drop it down into my pre-drill pre-hole. Now what I'm going to do is hold this and spin it around, and I'm looking at 3 plus 15 on this side. 4 plus about 15, so on the thousandths click on the Y. We're going to run it about halfway. So now I'm at 4 less 30. Over here to this side. Getting close. A little more this way. So all I'm doing is finding the center of this hole. And that's getting pretty close. On the Y, let's set the X. X is pretty close. So I'm within about 2,000. So I'm going to leave it for that for demonstration. You can get it closer if you want. So now the spindle is lined up with the center of my part. Let's bring it back over to here. And let me show you what's going on. Now that I've located the spindle to the center of my part, that's going to be called a fixture offset. Hit manual to exit. My next option, the first one was select number, then I jog. The next one is to store location. So I'm going to do number 3, and it's going to ask me to store a location for either the X, Y, or Z. Well, I'm going to do the X to start with because both the X and the Y are now located where I want them. I'll do X first, and if you look, the X now is exactly the same. The position I carry and the position for the offset is now the same. Not yet for the Y, but if I hit Y, now the Y is the same number and the X's are the same number. So this is what the computer sees to find out where the center of my part is. Hit any other key to exit. So I'm going to exit back into utilities, but now I'm finished with that. Okay? Now I'm going to set up and show you how to do edge finders for a square part or an area where you're not trying to find the center of a hole, like a center of a flange, center of a bolt, whatever. So let me go ahead and set up for that. Okay, now here's going to be using an edge finder to find the 0x, 0y location on your part. Edge finders we know is exactly 0.2 diameter. So we're going to go back into utilities. We're going to go fixture offset. We've used 1 for the center of the part, so let's just go ahead and call this number 2. Enter. Enter locator diameter is 0.2. It's going to ask for spindle speed. It needs to have that put in the computer so it knows to spin the spindle when we're doing our edge finder location. So I always go 1000, and I do a 0.2 so it's in high gear. There's high range and low range. This is easier on the machine, or easier to spin the spindle by hand. Enter. You have to hit start because it has to actually enter that into the data. Now what we're going to do is go number 2 for jog to locate. It asks us to hit jog. When we do jog, the spindle won't turn on if we hit spindle on or off. It's a safety feature. You have to hit shift, then spindle to know that you want to do it deliberately. So now we're in the jog mode. And I'm going to get it close and then I'll change the camera view. So let's bring this on around here. And we're going to do that front right corner. Oh, let's bring it down. Come on over. And we're going to do this. We're just going to call this our X0. Depends on you how you want to do it. Explain that later. So I'm in 10 thousandths per click. I'm going to reach up here on the control, change it to a thousandths per click. We're going to come in here, and we're going to touch until that just makes that edge finder spin off center. It just did. What I like to do is go back in on a 10 thousandths per click on the Z and get it up out of the way. So that was for the X. So we're going to come over here to the control, and we're going to enter that data. So it tells us to hit manual. Then it's going to ask us to store the location, number 3. We did it for the X. And we are on the positive side of our fixture, so we're going to hit plus for positive. And it's going to store that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to re-jog that machine, so we hit enter. Jog to locate, number 2. Hit jog, the spindle is still spinning. Now what we're going to do is come over with the jog controls. Let's come back to our part. And we're going to jog this around now until we are on the Y side. Okay, I'm in 10 thousandths per click. Coming over here. And I'm right now moving the part in the positive direction on the wheel. I'm moving the vise out to me. When it asks you what side of the indicator you want to go, you always type in what is the opposite from the direction that the vise has to go to hit. So right now my wheel is telling me that I'm going in the positive direction. So when it asks me what side of the locator, I'm going to say that it's on the negative side, opposite the side that you took to move in and touch off. So I'm now on 1 thousandths per click. I'm watching my edge finder. It just moved off center. Now I'm going to go into the Z on the control for jog. I'm going to go on 10 thousandths per click, safely get it out of the way. Okay? I'm back over to the control. Now that I've done that, it tells me to hit manual. I hit manual. And I wanted number 3, which is store location. I am now on the Y, and I am on the negative side. Okay, so now those 2 numbers have been stored in here according to what half the distance of the edge finder is, so that the center of the spindle should be on the center of my part. So now what I'm going to do is turn spindle off so it's safe. Okay, I'm going to go to manual. I am going to go manual again for manual data input, and I'm going to double check to make sure that I did this correctly. So what I'm going to put in here is E1 or E2, which is fixture 2. I'm going to tell it to go to an X0, Y0, enter. It's going to ask me to hit the start button. I'm going to make sure that I'm at 25% rapids. I hit the start and get my hand ready on this. And now it just jogged. You didn't see it, but that table just jogged to what should be that corner of my part, and we're going to find out if it is. I'm going to go back in and hit manual and go into the manual mode. Now I'm out of that manual data input because I need to jog down to make sure that the center of my spindle or the center of the edge finder really is in that corner. of that part. So I just put it in the command mode by hitting manual. It goes into the command mode. I'm going to hit jog, or tap jog. Z only, I'm going to come down to where it's just above my part. And if I look, which I am, the exact center of this way and this way is exactly in that corner. That means that fixture number 2 right now is completely lined up with the center of my spindle. And we're done. Now what we want to do is come back up to the control, and I'm going to send that to the home position. So I'm in the manual. That was from the jog mode. There's manual. Now remember, manual goes between command prompt, which is a utility. Manual again goes into MDI, which is manual data input, to move this machine around manually. So I'm going to go back into the command prompt, and if I do that, and if I type in HO, that stands for home position. And if I press enter, it's going to wait and ask me to start. Now I'm about to start this, and watch what happens. Once I press start, the Z-axis comes up safely first, away from the part. Once it reaches it, now it's going to move the X and the Y over to the machine home position. Now that's a home position for when I want to run parts. The actual machine home, when you shut it off, is 7 inches back in the negative Y direction. But I've told it that this is my home for running, and we'll show you how to set that as well. Okay, so that's how you do a fixture offset. Okay, after we do our fixture offsets, let's take a look at how we can adjust fixtures. From the command, we're going to type in display fixture, DF, enter. Here's a list of the fixtures that we have. We can run up to 24. Here's our fixture 1 with its offsets and fixture 2. If you want to change an offset, let's say you want to move the part slightly to make it line up a little better with a new piece that you cut. For whatever reason you want to adjust it, you can change the offset by saying offset number, enter. And then you can type in new values for the X and go enter, type in a new value for the Y or the Z. And that's important to stay away from that until you learn a little bit more. But that's for multiple parts where you want to shift down like parts with different vise heights. As you can go over, all the tools will be the same. You just change the Z offset. And we're not going to bother with that. So that's how simple it is to go in and change fixture offsets. Always go back to the command.